The new channel. The new channel. Hashtag TNC Now.
The views, opinions, and insights expressed in the following shows are those of the host, producers, guests, and viewers. They do not necessarily reflect the position of the channel. Viewer discretion is advised.
Well, hello and welcome to the new channel. Born out of passion, we're a community that helps you be the new you. I'm Michelle Mras, live streaming from the beautiful mountains of the United States, Colorado. And you are watching Mental Shift, Season 4, Episode 52. Well, good evening to the United States and to the Philippines. Magandang umaga sa inyong lahat. My guest tonight is a former professor turned entrepreneur. She took the most favorite parts of being a professor and created a coaching and speaking practice. She uses her 40 plus years of outdoor adventure and mountain climbing to speak and write about leadership, team development, and personal development as she coaches clients to move to the next step in life and in business. Please welcome my guest tonight, Rená Koesler.
Thank you.
There you are.
It's fabulous to be here. Thank you.
Thank you for joining me. I mean, I asked you to be on the show for so long ago, and then we never got on because it just kept getting bigger and bigger, right? So yeah. I'm glad that your calendar matched up and my calendar matched up, and we're able to be together today.
Me too.
Now, I've met you at a boot camp a couple of years ago, and I remember I kept calling you. Oh, what did I kept mispronouncing your name. I kept saying Rená. No, I never said René. I called you Rená for the longest time. And you've got a good old German name because Rená Koesler.
Exactly.
It's beautiful. And I wanted to ask you, because on Mental Shift, we talk about the mental shift that happens in your life to bring you from one point of your life to another point of your life. Your story is very, very obvious. You went from professor to entrepreneur, coaching other entrepreneurs into their world, into their life. And then you mixed it with you are a major outdoors person. So you mixed it with your love. And what I want you to share with the audience is, how does one go from professor, and what were you a professor of, to what you do today? Because, when you meet so many people, they do, well, I can't change careers. I'm unhappy, but I have to stay in this because this is where I got my degree, and I'm going to stick to it because I'm just going to be miserable forever because that's what I made a decision when I was 17 to take this degree. You are a professor. You didn't just go 4 years of school. You're a professor who shifted gears, and now we're giving back in a whole nother way. Can you please share with us, what was your mental shift and how did you shift careers?
Sure. Well, I was a professor for 30 years in Virginia, and I I was a professor of outdoor and environmental education. So what I did was provide opportunities for students to learn and appreciate and experience the wild outdoors so that they can then pass it on and appreciate it and protect it for future generations. And I had a blast. I had just a fabulous career. And I retired from that position and knew that I was not done. I knew that there's more out there for me. And so essentially, I just took all those pieces and parts that I loved the most, coaching and mentoring and teaching and speaking, and decided that I was going to try this thing called an entrepreneur. And, the funny thing is, Michelle, is that I wasn't even sure how to spell entrepreneur. Was it the E before the U or the U before the E? I wasn't really sure, but I knew that there was this thing called, creating your own business. And I decided, as I said, I wasn't done. I'm not finished. So I wanted to continue on a line of making an impact on people that I'm surrounded by. And I have to pull in the outdoors some way because that's my passion. So everything that I do in my business relates to either a summit or a mountain, or I take people on guided hikes. I do masterminds. I do a variety of things. But I think that the challenge of being an entrepreneur for me was trying to find what that piece that identified me, and not to look at other coaches and other speakers and say, oh, I have to be like them. And so I went through probably the first year and a half, doing a lot of observing, doing a lot of networking, connecting, having conversations with people, and really narrowing down to finally recognize and realize I can't be like those people. I can't be like you, Michelle. I can't be like Gary Barnes. I can't be like a variety of other people. I have to be those things that identify me as me and what my gifts are to the world. So
Exactly.
big mental shift for me is to just take what I was doing and then shift it into this thing called a business, a solopreneur.
Excellent. Well, and that's the whole thing. As a coach, I'm always telling people, stop trying to repeat what someone else is doing. You are not a Tony Robbins. You're not a John Maxwell. You are you. And what is that one unique thing you do? Take that quality and enhance it, amplify it, and make it what makes you stand out from everybody else. And you have taken that to a whole new level because you have taken that spirit of adventure that you do naturally and combined that taking risks and applied it to, vital components of being, the best version of you or your best business. Now, why do you believe that spirit of adventure and risk is so important, especially to anybody with a business, but entrepreneurs and the coaching clients that you deal with?
Well, I believe that in order to grow and to move forward and keep one foot in front of the other, you have to step out into the unknown and take risks and get out of that comfort zone and step off that cliff, because you just don't know until you try things. So adventure, and the kinds of people that I coach aren't necessarily people who kayak over Niagara Falls or climb Mount Everest. It's not that. But I look for people who have that adventurous spirit, that spirit of their willingness to step out, to take a risk. Let's try this out. We don't know where it's going to go. Go on this adventure and just see, just experiment, just explore, just discover all these enlightening things that are out there. But you have to be able to be willing to go on that adventure and take those risks. It's dynamite when people do.
Well, it opens doors for them to realize what they truly are capable of doing. Now, what all of you aren't realizing yet is Renee does not just say, let's go hike through the woods. Renee says, let's go climb a 14er. And for those of you who don't know what a 14er is, look at the tallest mountain and start walking towards it. And then go up it. I mean, so here in Colorado, we have a lot of mountains. So when Renee says, let's take a risk, let's go out there and adventure, she brings people outside of their comfort zone. So let's say you're always in the city. She puts you in a backpack and puts you in hiking shoes and makes you go outside of your comfort zone. And then when you're climbing here in Colorado, we are very high up I mean, we have a high altitude. We're nowhere near water. Okay. So when we go hiking at a certain level, oxygen gets very thin.
Mhm.
Some people are terrified of that, right, Renee?
Mhm.
And
Oh,
then you
that's
help them push through it. But that's the whole point of any business that you do. When it gets hard, that's not when you stop. That's when
Mhm.
you push. And so I loved your book, your itty bitty book. I loved your itty bitty book, but now you have a new book. But I love your analogy of pushing through when you think you've hit your limit, when you think you've met some summit, it's a false summit to just push. And I guess I shouldn't talk about that because I want to ask you about your well, you have two. So your first book that I met you when you published that one, well, right after I met you, was your itty bitty book. And
Mhm.
we won't really concentrate on that because I really want to get to the second book once we get to the second half. But what was your itty bitty book about, and why did you write that one to
Mhm.
help your clients? Why?
Right. Well, it's the title of that book is Achieving Your Potential: 15 Empowering Steps to Reach Each Summit. So there we go again.
Yep. So
I use that analogy and metaphor to what my passions are, is climbing and in the great outdoors and the wild outdoors. And so I use summit as your aspiration, your desire, your goals in life. And how do you get there? First of all, you have to identify what it is that you're shooting for. Is there something out there that has been hanging around, but you just haven't made any steps toward it? Well, in this book, it's a sort of a guide that gets you through there, all the way from identifying your why. Why do you want to do this? What your purpose is? Your how valuable planning and preparation is, choosing your own thoughts by reducing those limiting beliefs that oftentimes we talk about that keep us from moving to the next level or getting toward that summit. The power of reflection and the kinds of things that people do on a daily basis at the end of the day. Do people think about, well, how did that day go? What could I do differently? It's the same sort of thing in moving toward your goal or your aspiration, your summit. And not to be discouraged if a tree falls over the trail and you decide, well, you know what? I can't go down this path because the tree's in front of the trail. No, it's about thinking about how you get around that tree or get over that tree or finding another route to get toward that summit. Don't allow that to sort of inhibit you from going toward your summit. So it was a really fun book to write, and it's been really powerful for people who are really m- looking toward moving into that next phase of finding something they really want to shoot for and reaching their summit. So again, it's about um, climbing and mountaineering. And I've been doing this for 40 years. I've been
yeah,
climbing mountains for a long time. And I know I only look 29, but it's I've been doing this a long time. So and it's been a passion of mine. And I think the focus and the determination it requires for people to climb, that alone goes into the things that you see yourself doing and want to do. I mean, what is that summit out there for people?
what's that mountain? What's that gigantic mountain that scares you?
Yeah.
What's the mountain in your life? I love all of the analogies that work with climbing and being in the outdoors with you. I mean, when I saw that and I saw how you used it in your book, I'm like, it's the perfect analogy.
Mhm.
It's ideal because I always use water. I'm an island girl, so I always use water. But how do you get around your obstacle? Be like water, go over, around, or through it. Drill a hole through it if you have to, but
That's
find your way.
yeah.
Like you saying, the tree falling in the on the trail, climb over it, walk around it, whatever you do, you got to find a way.
Mhm.
And that's why I love your analogy with the whole mountain climbing is we all have our mountains to climb.
Mhm.
And so many of us get tired halfway through it and stop and wonder why we're unfulfilled. It's because we stopped in the wrong place.
Mhm.
Yes, you could hang out for a little bit for a camp, but you got to get up and keep climbing because what you're meant to be in this world is up there.
Mhm.
You're supposed to keep going. And that's why I love your analogy. I'm like, oh, Renee, you've got to come on and talk about your analogy.
Mhm. Well, it's the storm too. When you're in the mountains, there's always storms.
Mhm.
So that's also an analogy to our everyday storms that we experience in our lives, right? So do we take that storm and say, you know what? It knocked me out. I'm done. Well, no, it didn't. You change your clothes, get into some dry clothes, put some more, warm clothes on, whatever the storm is, you can beat it. It doesn't have to overcome you. Right?
Yes,
So it's all of those. It just makes so much sense to me.
it does. It's like perfect sense. And
Mhm.
the other thing about climbing mountains, right? You have a summit you want to reach. You have to have a plan. You can't just start hiking up without a plan. Just like in life, with business, whatever you're doing, relationships, you must have some general plan of what you want to do and what you're going to need on the journey. You can't go hiking in flip flops and a t-shirt and not have a jacket or shoes or change of socks. And I mean, there's just so much you have to think about. It's just
Mhm.
life. And so
Mhm.
many people do, well, I'm just going to go do and figure out what I'm going to do when I get there. It's like, you're gonna hit a storm
Mhm.
or you're gonna hit a log and you don't have an axe, and there's gonna
Mhm.
be things that happen, like you might need food and you don't have it. So it's the same thing on life, on that path. Have a bit. I always say life is like a GPS. You've got to put some sort of destination in there, but be flexible on how you're gonna get there.
Mhm.
To have a destination for your mountain climb,
Mhm.
be flexible on how you're gonna get on it, because sometimes that path has an obstruction on it. And
Mhm.
so I love every analogy that when you told me what you were doing with this, with your whole mountain analogy, I'm like, I wish I was a mountain climber. This is perfect.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Well, and the end of that particular book, I also talk about once you reach your summit, don't stay up there too long.
Getting a cold.
You got to come back down so that you can begin to prepare for your next summit, right? So you can bask in the glory and the accomplishment of that summit. But if you're up there too long, particularly at really high altitudes, people die.
Mhm.
Or, the storms come in, or it gets too cold, or you got to come back down. You can't always be in this euphoric state
Well,
because
and you forget how far you've come.
exactly, exactly. So it's a matter of recognizing, okay, I've celebrated this. It's time to come down, but you can't celebrate it too long because there's other things to do, right? No.
Or is what you did, you came down, picked up a couple more people and showed them the way up again.
Exactly. I
And
love
you and you repeat that. Down, back up again, bring more people
that.
up.
Yeah.
And, and that's also the whole analogy about life is we all come to this world with something very special in us, and we learn things in our lives, we develop skills, and it's really kind of an obligation to pass that to other people so that they don't have to learn the way we learned it. They can amplify from that point of view,
Mhm.
from that level.
Mhm.
And I don't know. I do know what I want to say. How do people reach you? I mean, you do all these really cool adventures when you do your coaching. It's oh, that's the other part of it. When I'm coaching people and they're stuck, I say, let's go for a walk. In times of COVID, I say, go for a walk. Because in nature, your brain processes things when you're moving. Your
Exactly.
entire process is concentration moving and then moving their entire body through the process as they're working through their issue, right?
Mhm.
That
Mhm.
is powerful. So those of you who are out there watching and listening right now, if that sounds really interesting to you, I want you to reach out to Renee. And her website, is it Summit Coach International?
It's www.reneekessler.com.
It's your name.
It's my name.
So can you, if you put that up there, you can all write her name down. René Koesler. It's not the way it looked, not the way it sounds. It is not spelled Renee. Okay, so if you can put in her website, the back office, where are you all? If you can put her website up, that would be wonderful, because I can see a lot of people. I mean, you can come into Colorado and hike the mountains with René.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to assure you, you will have breakthroughs, because part of that whole brain, left brain, right brain process is when your body moves, your brain processes things that are stuck.
Mm-hmm. And one of the things that I do is this mastermind on the mountain, which is group coaching, where I take people out on hikes and we choose a theme and we do activities up and down the trail related to that theme. It could be on discovering your boundaries. We could talk about balance. We could talk about the value of curiosity, and their activities along the way. So I see it as a holistic approach to masterminding, where you're getting some exercise, you're in the natural environment, which is kind of the spiritual component, the exercise, which is the physical component, and then the mental is to really engage in some pretty stimulating conversations related to the topic that we talk about. And it's such a informal and easy way to connect with other entrepreneurs and leaders, because it's no one's in a suit and tie. Everybody's dressed very comfortably, and it's something about the outdoors just brings out people's authenticity.
Mhm.
And I don't know who has more fun, if it's me or the people that are on the trip, because I see there's so many things that are really transpiring during that experience, that mastermind. So it's nice not to be virtual, right?
Oh,
Especially nowadays. Mhm. Yeah.
Well, we have all sorts of people, and Helene is saying all sorts of things. I see a lot of Helene on the side, and there are people. I miss them because they popped down. There's just this stream of people. But thank you, everyone, for joining us tonight. And
Yeah,
if you are watching live, please share the live stream. If you are watching the replay, share the replay. And what's really cool about TNC is you can always find these shows in the Facebook stream and the YouTube stream. So if you're thinking this, and you're like, oh, Renée's really interesting, and I really wish my friend could have seen this, and you forget, just go to our channel. We have the live streams all on replay. You can catch these shows at any time, but share the live one. It's much more fun. But okay, now let's see. I was going to ask you a question.
My second book? Is that what you
No,
mean?
I don't want to talk about your second book.
Okay,
I'm going
right.
to put that in the second half of our So I'm going to a question about mission statements, personal mission statements.
Mhm.
And why do you find that so important? And why is it so important in life and business? I mean, I talk about it a lot, but I want to hear your perspective of that.
Yeah, I think recognizing and acknowledging your purpose, who you are, and why you're here, makes your decisions and your future aligned with your direction, because you don't have to sort of dig through and figure out, is this the right path? Is this the right direction I need to go into? You can always go back to who you are and why you're here, and really recognize, because there are themes in everyone's life if they're paying attention. There are themes that identify who you are and why you're here. And if you recognize them and articulate that and pay attention to those, then chances are you'll be moving in that direction in your future, whether that's in your job and your personal life. I always use the Jim Carrey's personal mission statement, which is to free people from worry.
Oh.
And he's a comedian, right? He's noted as, the funny guy in these movies. But when you think about it, it's not about being funny. It's about his passion for freeing people from worry. whether that's in a conversation or whether that's being humorous or whatever it is, whether people are paying attention to him on a stage or in a movie, is freeing people from worry.
Yep.
And so for me, my personal mission statement is seeking inspiration in order to find the inspiration in other people. So when I seek inspiration, I can then feel that I can inspire other people. But if I'm not inspired, it's going to be really hard for me to inspire other people in coaching or in speaking or climbing mountains or whatever it is, right? So, and I'm sure you have a mission statement of some sort as well, Michelle.
Yeah, I always say, yeah, just completely blinked on it. My mission is to help guide people to stop apologizing for what they're not, embrace who they are, be the best version of that every day, and be unapologetically themselves. And so that's my mission statement. It's taking that veil off and own who you are. I mean, you knew me from several years ago when I was still hiding from who I was. But once I stepped into who I knew I was and stopped apologizing for not being an engineer or not doing the other things that I thought I was supposed to be doing, and said, you know what, this is me. I'm just going to step into this and play full out. I turned into a whole nother person. And that's why it's my mission statement to pull that veil off of other people, because I took 48 years to finally live.
To find your mission. To find your mission. And when you do it, it's so freeing.
Yeah.
To realize. So when you begin when people offer you an opportunity, you could say, okay, does this align with who I am and where I'm going? And if it doesn't, it's not worth my time.
Yeah, it's a fast one too.
Yes.
It's very fast. And so for those of you who are out there wondering, well, you know, I keep having these things happen to me and I just don't know. It's because you don't have your mission set. You don't know your why. And that's why is so important. When someone says, what's your why? It's not a question just to take up time. It's a question that will align your entire life. And once you know your why, a lot of the things that you think are important, you will find don't align and are no longer important.
That's right. Yeah, I love that. And I truly believe that. And obviously you do too. And it makes it so much easier. It's a less struggle to figure out, oh, this, that, where do I go? What do I do? And you just know, and you know it here. You just know it. So it's, and people ask, well, how do you find your purpose? How do you find your mission? Well, it takes time. You have to pay attention.
And a lot of hard questions to yourself.
Absolutely.
And what we don't realize is so often we lie to ourselves for most of our lives because we're too busy trying to satisfy someone else. And that's the key. What do you want? Exactly. And I think that's why it took me 40 something years to figure it out. Was I've always wanted to please everyone else. I wanted to take care of everyone else. And I think it was when I heard, you know, you've got to fill your own pitcher. And I kept saying, yeah, I am. No, I wasn't. I was filling the cup. I was filling my cup and trying to fill everybody else's pitcher.
Yeah.
It's like, wait a minute. Let me back off and start thinking about my own pitcher. And now that I fill my pitcher, I can give up and give to so many more people. And you actually participated in my 100 author event here in Colorado Springs. That was part of my mission, to pull the veil off of people to realize how much they have in them. I met so many authors through my travels who have books, but they take their books and put them in a shelf and never do anything with them. And my concept with this was, you put heart into your books. You felt so compelled to put it in writing, but you're going to hide it. So in the 100 author event, now it's called Amplifluence, amplify your influence. I brought all these authors together so they would realize that their book is their business. This is what you put your energy into. So let's amplify it. Let's help you learn how to speak about it. Let's get it in front of more people. And now I'm traveling around the United States with that same concept to amplify more authors. Yes, Renee, you will see more of that as I grow, because I'm beta testing in different states, and then I'll have it done. packed, nice and pretty, and then we'll do it all over again.
Yeah.
It's all about that mission of helping people stop apologizing for what they aren't, embrace who they are, and be the best version of them every day.
Mhm.
Now, we're going to go to commercial.
Okay.
And when we come back, I want to talk about your second book and what inspired you to write that and where people can find it and all that kind of stuff. Okay.
Okay. You bet.
Okay. Well, those of you watching, please share this live stream right now. We're about to go to commercial, so you've got time to go tell your friends, and we'll be right back after these commercials. Well, hello. TNC is a live stream platform of online shows for people on the go. So please watch all of our shows as seen on the screen. Imagine having your own show, your own playlist, your own content, but TNC makes it easier for you. TNC aims to transform the lives of our viewers through engaging, authentic, and original content. Our vision is to become a global 24/7 live stream channel that showcases Filipino talent, global influencers, cultural intelligence, and ingenuity. Watch Mental Shift, you're watching it right now, every Tuesday at 7:30 p.m. Mountain Time here in the United States and Wednesdays at 10:30 a.m. in the Philippines. You can watch live or on replay via Facebook or YouTube, and please be sure to follow us on Instagram. Listen to us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Just search hashtag TNC Now, TNCNOW. And for sponsorships, please email NOW, so now at thenewchannel.com, or send a direct message to the new channel. And enjoy these life-changing shows because we made them just for you so that you can help find the new you. So please welcome back my guest, Renee, and we will go to the next thing I want to ask her about. There you are.
Hi there.
Hi there. So, Renee, you had your
Yeah,
first book, your itty bitty book. Now, where can they find that? Is this all on Amazon?
all on Amazon
Okay. So you can
and
find it through her
Kobo.
name.
And I'm sorry.
They can all find it through just looking at your name. They can find you. There can't be many Renee Kesslers out there.
No, there aren't any. Mhm. I'm the only one out there.
About to say,
That's
there's two
spelled
Michelle Marases,
phonetically.
but I'm the only one writing books, so it's easy to find me on Amazon. Now, so find Renee because her books are on Amazon. And now I want to talk more about her second book that just came out. And can we show the image of her book? And then we're going to talk about why she wrote this book. Unflappable Leadership Lessons from Climbing Mountains. And then the sub is Influence Without Character is Dead End Leadership. Right? I
Right.
got it. Okay, well,
Mhm.
show the image of her book so they can see what it looks like when they go on Amazon, and then we'll discuss more about it because I'm going to ask you what inspired you to write the second book.
Do you want me to start or wait for the?
Yeah, we better start because apparently they don't hear me asking for the cover of the book.
Okay. Yeah, well, I've been climbing mountains for 4 decades, and the I share 9 mountaineering stories in this book, and I pull out the leadership nuggets and factors that I learned from climbing mountains. And some of it is from observation from what I see in other leaders, but what I learned about leadership was based on my direct experience in climbing mountains with other people, by myself. I talk about the blunders that I've made as a leader and the mistakes. So I'm quite vulnerable in the book. And I think perhaps I'm at a certain age now where being vulnerable is not an issue for me. I find there's a lot of strength in doing that, but also people learn so much from other people's blunders. And the book, my intent for the book is to bring insight to other people and look at leadership from a different perspective other than an academic perspective. I don't talk about styles of leadership. I don't talk about different theories of leadership. I talk about leadership from what I've gained from climbing mountains. And so much of it has to do with character. I value character, and I think character is key to leadership.
Mhm.
I talk about the concept of being unflappable, which is the title of the book. And I didn't know what that term meant when
Please explain it. What is that?
when I was 24 years old. I was leading a group of people up a peak. And we got to the base of the mountain and weather started moving in. And I couldn't decide whether to go up the mountain because I knew people really wanted to try to climb this mountain, or if we should retreat and go back down because I wasn't sure what the weather was going to do. And through that process, someone in the group said, "You are so unflappable." And I thought, what does that mean? I didn't know what that word meant. I'd never heard that word before. And again, I was 24 years old. And I eventually found out that it meant people who are calm and can ensure that everybody else around them is calm in dire situations, in when people are anxious or when people are worried or scared. Being inflammable can speak volumes and do wonders for a group of people and just bring down the temperature and
Mhm.
bring down the anxiety. And in a leadership position, that's really key, particularly in the outdoors. So I titled it because of that initial experience of being unflappable.
I
Um,
love it.
so I pull out a lot of different leadership components in each of the chapters. I talk about the dangers of assumptions, how we easily, as human beings, make assumptions about other human beings. And there could be real danger in that. And I talk about the danger, and I use the word danger purposely in one of my chapters because it became a dangerous situation because I made some assumptions about another human being. So I talk about consistency, and I talk about um, character, and I talk about other factors that really have an impact on good leadership. And the quote that I came up with as I was writing is, the influence without character is dead end leadership.
Mhm.
And I think leadership, and this is John Maxwell's definition as well. And I love that definition because it's very simple and very streamlined. Leadership is influence.
Nothing
When
more.
I think about people making influence, there are people who make good influence, and there's people that make bad influence on other people. But I believe that if you're going to be a leader, that if you don't have character in the process of influencing other people, your leadership is going to dead end. It's not going to go very far. This is what I believe.
Oh, yes,
Well,
definitely. I
I'm
mean,
always curious about how other people think about that definition. I was so pleased when I was writing, and I came up with this. I'm like, yes, that's exactly what I believe.
well, and I think of, well, I'm a big John Maxwell fan, but the other thing about it is, let's just think of superheroes. With great power comes great responsibility. The responsibility of being a leader, your influence needs character behind it, or you can lead people very, very badly, so
Mhm.
it all kind of ties together. You can be great leader for bad or good. Choose. So when you take that step, know where you're going. And
Mhm.
that's why it's important to have a coach or a mentor or someone to help guide you to your why, because natural leaders step up. But if they're faulty in their leadership, you can stray a lot of people the wrong way because you're so confident in what you don't know.
Mhm.
Climb
Exactly.
up this mountain, we're going to do this. And oh, wait a minute.
Mhm.
I didn't prepare at all. And there's a big jagged cliff on the other end, and we can't go back. You know what I mean? You have to be able to be the guide, that leader who knows the way and
Mhm.
shows the way.
And people oftentimes associate leadership with titles and positions. And if you have a name out there, then you are, a leader. But it's beyond that, isn't it?
It is.
It's who the person is. Now we're back to the purpose, but who the person is, how they demonstrate their character in and among other people. I I believe that, and people are more likely to follow you if you've got good character. This is a personal opinion, than if someone who doesn't have great character, and but may have a great title or a great position, or make a lot of money or something like that. I'm not sure, but it's it's beyond title and position. Leadership is.
It
A
is.
person could be a homemaker and be a leader. They don't have to be the CEO of Amazon
And I,
or
I train that a lot. I've met so many people who say, well, I don't really have a why. I don't lead anybody anyways. So you are leading at all times someone. I
yeah.
don't care if you're walking through the grocery store, someone sees the way you behave and is either mimicking or acquiring knowledge from the way you behave.
Mhm,
Uh, if you have any youngster in your presence, I can assure you they are learning from something you're doing. So I
mhm,
don't care what you do, where you are, how young you are, or how old you are. Someone is watching you and someone
mhm,
is learning. Therefore, you are at some level a leader. And that's why I do a lot of training on self leadership. Because when we look at the world, the world is falling apart. It's like, no, it's not. We
mhm,
just have people who don't realize that they're leading and
mhm,
they're doing things and people are repeating what they're doing when they're not leaders. So be
mhm,
the best version of you, lead yourself well, because by domino effect, other people will do. You know what? I like that. And
mhm.
pick up that same habit.
Yeah,
So
and it starts with you, right? It starts with you.
always.
If you can't lead yourself, you're the hardest person to lead.
Yeah.
But once you know you can lead yourself, then chances are you're gonna be able to lead a lot of.
And and people say, well, I'm single and I don't have kids. You're leading yourself. Do you wake up in the morning? Do you exercise? Do you eat well? Do you walk? Do you decide on how you're going to pay your bills? Do you pay your bills? I mean, you are self-leading. So even if you have no one else in your world and you're in a bubble, you're self-leading.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
so I was talking about that during COVID because people are like, I'm alone in my apartment. I'm not doing anything. I do. How you take care of yourself in that apartment shows what kind of leader you are. Is your house disheveled? Are you no longer doing what you normally do? Have you let yourself go? I mean, that's self-leadership. So yes, you are always leading. It may just be you, but you're leading somebody. Now, we have the image of your book. Yay, we're going to show the image of your book so people can find it on Amazon. Ta-da! Guess whose back that is?
Mine.
So you see the mountains in front of her?
What'd you say?
I said, I asked them if they saw the mountains in front of you in that book. Those are Colorado mountains.
Those are Colorado mountains.
And they're not little.
They're not. Particularly people who live on an island.
Yes.
They look really big.
Well, it's funny because in the Philippines, we have mountain ranges, but they're nowhere near the mountain ranges that we have out here. So when I went to go see my family 2 years ago, I went to my family. My mother's family lives in a place called Mount Riot. Growing up, that mountain was huge. For something at sea level, it is huge. That mountain, I think the top of it hits where maybe Colorado, Denver actually starts. I mean, that's how big our mountains are. If you have an image in your head, those of you out there listening and doing, I wonder how big those mountains are. 14,000 feet above sea level. And this lady, Renee here, likes to climb them.
I do. Some amazing views at the top. And that's another metaphor, right? You know, so it takes focus. It takes determination. It's not fun. There's a fun one. Have you heard of this before? There's a fun one and there's a fun two.
What's a fun one and fun two?
Fun one is where whatever you were engaged in, that you're having a good time the whole time. You know, whether that's an amusement park or an arcade or going out to dinner with people, you're having fun. But fun two is where you're not having fun in the process, but when you're done and you look back and the glory of what you've done is so much fun. And that's a fun two. And that's what climbing mountains are like, right? You could use that as a metaphor and, you know, I don't, you know, in anything. So the fun two is just the accomplishment and the, you know, what you feel when you're at the
euphoria of the end of it.
Exactly.
Because I like to hike. And I always forget that I like to hike because I love to hike and I'll go out and I'll start walking and then I'll do, why am I out here again? No, yeah. Why did I do this alone again? But I have to get into the mood. It's just like when I was a big runner. I used to hate that first mile, but after that first mile, there was this euphoria that would hit me, and I could go for miles and miles after that. But that first mile was always a difficult one. With hiking and going up mountains, I like it for the first half mile, and then I do. Is there a helicopter or something that could pick me up? And then I forget, and then I get lost in the moment again, and then I love it again. But there's always man, my calves are really hurting. Do I really want to go this way? It's the same thing with your life and your business. So let's say with relationships, people do, oh, this is such a great relationship. Oh, we're having so much fun. Wait, they have a personality and opinions? Oh, I have to deal with this for the rest of my life? Oh. And then you have to find that euphoria. Wait a minute. There was great things happening at the beginning. Yes, there's growth pains. Your muscles are hurting because you're doing something. Now make it through that and let's go to the next level of that. Same with the mountains, same with business. Business, Yeah, I'm going to start my business. I'm going to be an entrepreneur. I'm going to go do this. And it's so much fun until someone says, are you going to pay taxes on that?
Mhm.
And how are you going to pay for that? And you do, oh, well, I don't want to do this anymore. Well, you already quit your other job and you're kind of committed. So it's your mountain. And
Mhm.
that's why I'm giving all of you your different analogies and how this mountain analogy works so well. We all go gung-ho in whatever we're starting. And then we peak at this thing where we think, nah, I don't like this anymore. Can I go back? And you can't. That's where that mountain analogy comes from. It gets harder before it gets better in
That's right.
everything we do.
And that's, that feeds right into coaching, right? When people come to us and they're struggling and they're not even sure this is what they want to do anymore, or they want to turn around and go back down the mountain, or whatever it is, it's how to get people to not end up by saying, I shoulda, coulda, woulda.
That's what I was trying to get you to.
Mhm.
What it could have.
Because we can all do that. And then we regret not having pushed through it, gone through the next level to get to that stage of, oh, this is why I'm doing it. This is why I'm here. And
I've
see
always
yourself.
I've always wanted to do like a retreat kind of thing, but then have the group go up the incline here in Colorado Springs,
Yeah.
because it's another analogy. You can go up the incline. For those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, look up Manitou Incline, Colorado. Okay.
Yeah.
You can climb up it. It's like there's stairs up the side of a mountain. You can go up it. If you give up, you can't stop and turn around. It's so steep that you stop and try to turn around, you will fall and keep rolling down the mountain. You have to keep going up. And so it's like, it would be like the perfect analogy to have a small group of people for a day trip, basically. It'd be a 4-hour round trip if you have enough people with you to go up that side of the mountain, because you do. Now, what are you working on today? What are you working on in your business?
Yeah.
This is what you're working on. And in every step, I want you to make a new decision. And when you get tired and you want to stop and say, I want to go back, look down that hill and know there's no turning back. You
Mhm.
must keep going. Or my husband's like, yeah, incline.
Mhm.
But really, what a great way of bringing a group of people through something. And it's a quick one. So
Mhm.
I mean, maybe you can do mini days when people don't want to do the whole mountain. You say, okay, well, let's just go up this one. It's an hour up and a 2-hour down. And the reason why it's a 2-hour down is because you can't come back the way you went up. You have to go around
Mhm.
the mountain to get
That's
down
right.
because it's so steep. And it's that back to the analogy that Renee was saying earlier, that you can go up. Don't stay up because the air is thin. You need change. You got to work your way back down the mountain. And that's a whole nother process.
Mhm.
So you can find your next mountain to climb up.
That's right. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, the incline is a good workout. And what's interesting is that you can get halfway up and you can look back. It's like, whoa, look at from where I've come.
Mhm.
It's steep and it looks like you've gone a long way and you have.
1
It's,
mile up, 4 miles down.
that's right. So, you could look at it from that perspective too. When you're at a place and you're worn out and you're tired and you're burned out, but you'll look back for a moment and you say, yeah, I can't possibly go back because look at where I am. I got to keep going because I can see the summit. I can see the summit. So keep that vision ahead of you and keep that passion and that interest ahead of you. And before you know it, you put one foot in front of the other, no speed, no competition, no race, and boom, you are there.
What's that cartoon? Put one foot in front of the other, and soon you'll be walking across that floor. Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing with the mountain.
Mhm.
Keep going, even though it hurts sometimes. It'll be worth it when you get what you want on the other side. When people say, "Oh, my life is hell," I said, "Well, then don't stop. Don't stop while you're in hell. Keep going because you don't want to stop there." Same thing with the mountain. When you
Mhm.
think it's too hard, you want to give up. that's when the gold is there. There's a cartoon of someone like digging for gold, and there's a man and he's in a tunnel and he's digging and he gives up, and they show the pickaxe is right on a big thing of gold, but that's where he stopped and gave up. Don't let go of your gold. Keep going, because
Yeah.
if you give up, that's when it is. I
Mhm.
think I was in one of my books that I just did a chapter in, like the 13 Steps to Riches. I talk about, I think it was like imagination or something, but basically, pain is part of a process. And all the good things, amazing things happen after you've gone through some pain. And it doesn't have to be like excruciating pain, but the example I used was like with me. When I was giving birth to my daughter, right when I said, "Can you put her back, please? I don't want to do this anymore." That's when she came out, and all the pain stopped, and I had this beautiful baby in front of me. And it was like, I remember doing, "I'm done. There's no way. I can't go any further. I am done. Just put me out. Knock me out." And that's where she was. And I have to remember that when bad things happen in my life, I do, this really, really, I don't like this, but I certainly don't want to wallow in it.
Mhm.
Got to get through the pain. So if you
Mhm.
need a coach, you need a mentor, you need someone to guide you through your pain, and you need someone to help, well, that thought process. Find
Mhm.
Renee. She's got 2 books out. You can do the itty bitty book to start the process. And then she's also got the new book, Unflappable Leadership Lessons from Climbing Mountains. And you can find them both on Amazon, or reach out to Renee. Her name, it's in the images that you're all seeing right now, reneekoesler.com.
Mhm.
And then that way you can reach out and say, "Hey, I saw you on Michelle's show. Help me."
I'm happy to.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
if you're close by and you can fly out here, come to Colorado, because she posts a lot of pictures of her masterminds on the mountain, and they're phenomenal looking. I mean, yes, they're not going to be easy. No, you're not going to wear 5-inch heels as you're up there. No, you're not going to be wearing mini skirts, and you're not going to be wearing slacks and suits. You're going to be wearing gear. You're working.
Exactly. Well, Michelle, you mentioned mentoring, and
Mhm,
that's huge. I think everybody needs to go out and find a mentor.
mhm.
If you don't have a mentor, I'd be surprised if people don't. A mentor could be a parent, it could be a pastor, it could be a teacher, it could be your older sibling, somebody that you know has your best interest at hand. And they're good guides. Your coach, us as coaches, are good mentors for people, because we want to cheer. We're your best cheerleaders. We want to cheer people on all the way to the summit, whatever that summit is, whatever you identify yourself to be.
Yeah,
Go, go, go. And we'll give you the tools and the inspiration and the motivation, and we'll challenge you. If it was easy, you probably wouldn't need us. So we like to challenge people. I like to challenge people. I like to put people in a position where they're going to have to really think and work hard and struggle, and maybe have some tears along the way, just
breakthrough.
because that's part of the process. You talk
Part of
about the pain, you talk about the struggle, and that's all part of that process. If it's easy, people wouldn't do it. We
Exactly.
don't want easy. Really, in the end, people want a challenge. It's deep down in their brain, they want a bit of a challenge, because then they can say, "Ah, I did it. I got through it." Rather than just say, "Oh, yeah, psh, it's no problem."
Yeah. It's like, yeah, that was easy. And there's no accomplishment in that.
Right.
And if you meet a coach, I can assure you, a good coach has a coach, or 2 or 3, you
Mhm.
know? And that's actually when I met Renee. I met Renee with another coach. We were getting coached by another coach. And that's really the power of coaches, is we are constantly learning.
Mhm.
There's a power in that. And you should also be constantly learning. For those of you who are out there thinking, I've been there, did that, got the t-shirt, I don't need to learn anything else. Understand that learning is a process too. And that's a new journey to becoming the best version of you. So Renee, we have 1 minute left. What parting words of wisdom would you like to leave with our audience?
Learning is a lifelong process. Learning about yourself, just when you think you've got it all together, there's always something else to learn and grow. And again, it's every situation changes, and it's a matter of just continually growing and learning. And if you're in the process of retiring, it doesn't end there. If you have a finish line, then go to that finish line. But if you're in it for the long haul, there is no finish line. You just keep it going all the way to the end. Learn about yourself, learn about other people, be curious, and go for some challenges. Get out of that comfort zone and have a good time doing it.
Thank you so much, Renee. Okay, reach out to Renee Koesler and find her on Amazon. Go to her website, reneekoesler.com. And for those of you who love Mental Shift and you're looking for being a sponsor, DM the new channel, or, right now at thenewchannel.com. And then see us every Tuesday at 7:30 p.m. Mountain Time here for Mental Shift, or 10:30 a.m. Philippine time on Wednesday morning. So have a wonderful week, everyone. Renee, stick around. And for those of you out there, have a wonderful week. We'll see you next week. Take care.